Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast for our Monday Night Raw recap. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined once again by Wrestling Inc.'s own Raj Giri, and of course, Matt Morgan. Matt, how's it going?
What's going on, guys?
Not much. Raj, how are you doing? Good holiday weekend?
It was good until the 3 hours I wasted tonight, but it was good up until that point.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We became back to work, back to life as usual, and the holiday was over as Monday Night Raw began once again in the build-up to Clash of the Champions. Let's start with high-level thoughts on the show. Matt, your overall reaction?
Horrible. I wanted to go to bed so bad. You have no idea. Well, I'm sure you guys do have an idea, but I really wanted to go to sleep tonight so bad, and I had to fight it. I feel like Russo here complaining that the only reason I watch Raw is because I do these podcasts. Okay. We're wrestling fans. That's why we sit through these crap episodes like we had to sit through tonight, unfortunately. I hated it. I hated this entire show. Sorry. It is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. There wasn't much positive I could find, at a Tonight Show. I just feel like anytime you get a newsworthy show, they never are able to follow it up. And you didn't have Triple H. You didn't really have much of anything. And let's just start running through it. It was terrible, I thought, though.
I thought the first hour showed some promise, and then just by the time we got to that New Day segment, it was over. But let's go match by match, segment by segment, talk about the show. So we opened with a recap, of course, of what happened last week with Kevin Owens becoming the first not the first, but I guess the longest running now WWE Universal Champion, winning the Fatal 4-Way with the assist from Triple H last week. We started on that. We had what was perhaps the most soap opera-ish segment in quite some time backstage with Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon, with Mick, of course, suspecting whether Stephanie knew that Triple H was going to do this. We cut to Kevin Owens being brought out to the ring, celebrating, balloons, confetti, everything, etc., interrupted by Seth Rollins. Match officially set for Clash of the Champions. What do you think about this direction and where it's going? Matt, to you first.
This is such a train wreck to even get into. It's a cluster F. They booked themselves into a weird, something that we thought would have a ton of different possibilities in a good way. But I was hoping for a great show because here's Owens, my guy, finally, got the title finally. And here was his big crowning achievement moment. The promo was good. He did a good job of turning everybody against him tonight. Although, let me just start off by saying this crowd sucked ass tonight. Kansas City, you should be disappointed in yourselves. Why do you even go to these shows? Seriously. If you're going to sit there and sit on your hands, don't go. Okay, I'm not saying fake cheer and stuff like that just because it's what you're supposed to do. But good Lord, somebody should have checked these fans' pulses in this arena tonight. Seriously, but the show itself, like we're talking about the opening segment and where it can go, there's so many possibilities where it can go. I was hoping we were about to go through a Monday Night Raw without Roman Reigns. I was so excited for it. And, of course, they screwed that up. But the only thing I was really happy about, again, is KO's promos as usual. But, again, they're booking themselves into some weird multiple corners, actually. We'll get into it as we go through the show because we got to wait till we get to the match to get into what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and tonight it was Labor Day, and WWE, they're notorious for not doing anything on the holiday. So it could just be a case of they didn't want to really advance any storylines tonight because of the holiday and maybe next week. But part of me thinks that they don't know how to get out of this angle with Triple H, and they might just drop it because they've done that before where something interesting happens and then you stop hearing about it within a couple of weeks. You had the McMahons and the lockbox and stuff like that where it's just completely dropped. So I hope that's not the case here. But to your point, Glenn, I did think at first it seemed like the show did have some potential with the Owens against Sami Zayn and then Rollins and Jericho, which both sounded like they could be great matches. So, but it quickly went down after that.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting tonight. The thing I noticed was both with the segment with Mick and Stephanie and then with Charlotte and Dana, it was like telenovela style, Days of Our Lives, heightened drama behind the scenes. And I wonder, especially with the Mick and Stephanie thing, if that's going anywhere. And like you said, with the Triple H thing, they could just abandon that. But it seemed very overt tonight. People joke about wrestling being male soap opera. But tonight, am I wrong? Did that not feel like a soap opera to you?
It just seemed like a badly acted soap opera.
Is there a goodly acted soap opera?
Melrose Place back in the day, but Matt, did you think Steph was going to go emasculate Mick Foley right off the bat on the show?
Is that a rhetorical question? Absolutely.
The acting was bad. All right.
Yeah, so the matches were announced for later in the evening. We'd have Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens in the main event, showing that the WWE, when they said they were sort of retiring that angle, went a full, 7 weeks without doing that matchup. I think that's some tremendous restraint on their part, and we should, applaud them for that.
Yeah.
So, we had that, and then we had a Rollins versus Jericho announced for later in the evening. But the first match that we saw was Charlotte versus Bayley in a non-title match. And I want to get your opinion, Matt. What do you think about champs having non-title matches, and what did you think about the result of Bayley winning?
It's the same thing that was happening to Sasha when she was the champion. The champion should not be losing matches.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people out there, ex-wrestlers, like it's a prop, you mark or whatever. Okay, great. Good story. But at the end of the day, we build this thing up to be the end-all, be-all for everyone's achievement and goal in wrestling is to get to become a champion. Okay, so it does mean something. It's more than just a prop. And to have your champion just lose, especially, I don't want to say this early in her reign because she's been a champion before this. Obviously, it's not her first time, but the champion can show her ass in multiple ways without losing a match. There was no need for that. Bayley versus Charlotte's a pay-per-view match. I don't know why we're giving it away on free television. I don't know.
Yeah, it's they're sticking to their formula. They do this every time where the challenger pins the champion clean. For every women's program, they do the same exact thing, and here you had it. So they were going to do it, soon, before the pay-per-view. It'll be interesting. I wonder if they're going to do a triple threat at the pay-per-view now that Sasha's back, but we'll see.
Yeah, and of course, we'll talk about that a little later in the show. The Sasha's big news that she had to break on Monday Night Raw. I thought the distraction with Dana distracting Charlotte, I thought that was a decent pretense under which to have Bayley sort of steal a surprise win. But to me, it just completely hit a brick wall when it's like, oh yeah, but it wasn't for the title. I think the champion should always be defending, personally. Raj, do you have that same opinion, or do you like?
Yeah, I think the concept of non-title matches doesn't really make sense.
It feels like a cheat to me. It's a cop-out.
Doing it once in a while, it's one thing, but when you're doing it every week, or for every other week, so it just doesn't make sense, Yeah.
What about you, Matt? If you're the champ, is the title on the line every time you step into that ring?
No. No. But the champion can't be losing. That's also my opinion. The champion cannot be losing. It takes away from whoever eventually finally wins, whoever eventually beats her and pins her for that title. Whether it's Bayley, guess what? We just saw it happen.
Yeah.
If it's Sasha, well, Bayley just beat her. How tough can it be? It's just not good. I don't understand how they don't see it.
Yeah, it's not consistent storytelling, that's for sure. So, of course, throughout the night, we had the build-up to the Sasha situation, which they started teasing pretty heavily early in the episode and throughout. But up next was Bo Dallas versus Kyle Roberts. Now, Bo is out of the pokey and back on Monday Night Raw. Did you see that coming, Matt? We talked about his behavior last week.
No.
And with the Bo leave, he's got, the gimmick. He's got signs now, for Christ's sakes. What did you think?
Well, here's what I think. I think that he died a slow death out there tonight. Nothing on his end. This is something that, Raj has brought up multiple times and everybody knows this is how it works. If you're not put out there on television on a consistent basis or even a semi-consistent basis where you're not a friggin' joker and you're not some clown that they treat you like on TV when you are on TV, how in the blue hell they're going to ask you to go out there and get yourself over out of left field. When you've been treated like a complete jobber, when you've been treated like a complete jerk, when you treated like a complete comedy act, and then what? 1 week later, you're now serious. It's almost like my stuttering character. I mean, I was teaming with Brock Lesnar, biggest team in Survivor Series history, yada yada yada, all this crap, and then 6 months later, I got sent down to OVW and get brought back up with a stuttering character. And I remember like yesterday saying like, Miss McMahon, aren't people going to wonder like, why is Matt Morgan stuttering all of a sudden? Like, is that not important? Like, do we need to worry about this? And I remember him be like, let me worry about that. I tell them what to think, that kind of thing. And I remember just being like, okay, yeah, because I was so young and new, I'll do whatever you tell me to do, obviously. He's a billionaire, he's a genius, you know, what do I know? But it's the same type of thing here where you can't insult the fans' intelligence that much, you know, and I feel bad for Bo. You know, he had that thing, the incident on the plane, and what he did out there tonight did not do him any favors. It's not his fault again. It's on the booking.
Yeah, you treat somebody like a complete nobody for 2 years, and then randomly he's out doing a squash match. You know, it's you gotta. I feel like you gotta. If you decide you're gonna push Bo Dallas, well, you know, come up with a more believable explanation as opposed to this out of left field push that you're giving. And you know, they try to have him be all serious in the ring, but then he's coming out with the I'm with, you know, Bo leaving Bo signs, and it's like, you know, it's so goofy that there's that disconnect with he's coming out looking like a joke, and then you're supposed to take him seriously while he's wrestling. So it made no sense to me.
But what a wasted opportunity. He should have come out there like Dean goddamn Martin with, you know, glass in hand filled with apple juice, making you think it's whiskey, singing Lion King songs, and just stumbling his way to the ring. I mean, if we're in the reality era, take advantage of the situation, right? I mean, last week, that incident with getting detained at the airport, that's the most interest people have had in Bo Dallas in quite some time. I mean, why just sort of rehash the same tired old gimmick? Why not play into that and have him play up, you know, this detainment that he had?
Because
we're PG. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just boring. But I will say with Kansas City, they were, I mean, I know we don't really swear on this podcast, but they were a-holes in the crowd there. I mean, one guy did yell Lion King at him. People were yelling out, you know, you suck, boring. The only real reaction they were getting seemed to be, you know, the real prize, you know, who in the audience who were just shouting out this critique. But yeah, I just thought it was a very boring way. If you're going to put Bo on TV, do something interesting at least. So moving on, of course, Bo won against Kyle Roberts, who I'm assuming was local enhancement talent. After that, we came back and saw Seth Rollins versus Chris Jericho. What did you think of the pairing, Matt, and the match itself?
Excuse me. First, guys, I apologize for eating and the fans watching this. I have a show coming up in 5 weeks for Men's Physique, and I have to eat exactly 3 hours on the clock. And if I don't, I'm a much grumpier blueprint on this show. So I apologize in advance, guys. I thought I was excited about it. Actually, I was very excited. What a great, you know, combo between two guys I love watching and I love storytelling. Their storytelling. Again, another pay-per-view worthy type match that they just gave out away again. But again, the other side of it's me complaining about how crappy the show was. And here they did throw us a bone, you know, with a good match, with two great talents going against each other. I like that. Nothing to say bad about it.
Yeah, it was a good match. Probably the best thing on the show. But man, they need to. The fans need to stop doing that "This is awesome" chant all the time for no reason. You know.
Can I say something to the fans real quick? There are any fans watching the show that chants "This is awesome." Vince McMahon's reaction to that is, "You as the talent are not over. When they're not chanting your name." If you're a fan and you want to get your guy over and you want to like hook him up with whatever, don't chant "This is awesome." Chant the guy's name. Vince could give a rat's ass when people chant "This is awesome." He just says that the fans are cheering for the move. They're not cheering for the talent. So remember that when you go to these shows, guys.
And it's become the what chant of, you know, it's just used all the time now. It doesn't mean anything. But, you know, I thought this was the best thing on the show. I thought Jericho was great. And, you know, Rollins, I thought it was a good match, but I guess I just have such high expectations whenever you have Rollins and Jericho together. But, you know, it was still a good match.
Yeah. Now, yeah, you might know this, Raj. If you don't, certainly our Wednesday co-host David Bixenspan might. What was the first recorded instance of the "This is awesome" chant? Do we know when that actually originated?
Oh, I have, yeah, it's
Wasn't in TNA?
I forget because they didn't do it in ECW, so it was
No, in
like
TNA. I could have sworn in TNA. I
it
could
might
be
have been.
wrong. Ring of Honor, TNA. I'm guessing.
Okay, someone in the comments, we should have a contest one week and have someone write in, with proof of the earliest recorded
How would they?
instance.
Okay.
All right.
Recorded. That is the key.
Oh, it'll be TNA because they had a TV deal. Watch.
Yeah, no, I'm very curious. So yeah, that match with Jericho and Rollins, I thought it was solid. I think Jericho with anyone is good, but Jericho and Rollins was a nice, fresh matchup that we hadn't really seen. And of course, Seth Rollins won that. But I think it was also perfect length, probably the high point of the evening. Let's talk about what's maybe a little bit more of a confusing match. We had the third in the best of 7 series, Sheamus versus Cesaro. And what was interesting about this, one, Sheamus winning now, close to shutting Cesaro out, but two, that they announced during this match, the match number 4, as it's planned, isn't even going to be televised live. Match number 4 is going to take place at the O2 Arena in London on Wednesday. Matt, what do you think of this development of sort of them downgrading it from a TV match for match number 4, and then let alone having Cesaro lose in his third outing?
They just tipped their hand, obviously, that Cesaro was going to win that match.
Yeah.
First of all, but I do like the element of, hey, come to a WWE live event, anything can happen, as far as putting a major television, I'm not going to say that, a televised angled match on a house show or a live event. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, my only issue with it is that if Cesaro's finally getting his win to break the streak, shouldn't that be televised? When he's finally getting his win, this is like the big match. Yeah, I mean, the fact that his finally breaking this, losing streak is not even going to be televised. Just exactly. It just tells you what they think, I think. And Cesaro, man, all that tape, he's looking like a walking crime scene with all that. What's that tape for? The T-tape or what's it called?
Darn it, I forget what it is, but it does really work actually. I tore like right up in this area, and you can tape around this area, and it connects the muscles together that are strained or torn. It does work. I forget the damn name of it though. It does work. It looks ridiculous, but
yeah,
he looks like the Mummy.
Now, my prediction with this is that they're going to say because of Cesaro's back injury that they're going to postpone match 4 till Monday Night Raw.
You know what they should have done is they should have had tonight's match at the London event. So you still make the live event seem like a big deal. Sheamus get his third win, and then that fourth match means something.
Yeah, it's weird to me, man. I mean, when you're not being televised, this is like beyond being stuck on the pre-show. It's kind of like that, good news, you're nominated for an Emmy. Bad news, it's given away at the technical awards that they do, in the middle of the afternoon that nobody watches or even cares about. It just seems very weird to me. But we got to talk about next. God, man, it's like, I've used before the analogy, the Avengers versus the X-Men, but Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus the Shining Stars. Of course, the Shining Stars out cutting a promo, Enzo and Cass interrupting them. The tag team match happening and the Shining Stars getting a win. I probably am not the best person to talk about this match, but Matt, what did you think of it?
The minute I saw that pinfall take place, I look over at my wife, who's probably looking at me going, why do you make me watch this crap? 2, I said to her, I go, babe, I guarantee you Glenn is doing laps around his house as we speak right now. That his 2 buddies, his partners in crime, his compadres finally won a match. What the freak, WWE, if you're watching this, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Any momentum that you just had with those 2 guys, the amount of time you've put into Big Cass trying to get his big ass over, letting Enzo go out there and cut these awesome world beater promos like he did again tonight. You're throwing it down the tubes because there's no money in those other 2 guys. I hate to say it. I know their family. I'm friends with them, but it is what it is. What the hell are you thinking?
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is they have absolutely no ideas for Enzo and Cass, so that's going to be their feud now is with the Shining Stars, and since it's the first TV match,
so let's have them lose?
I think so. That's how they keep it going, right? That's how they start feuds nowadays, is with the match, and then the person who's should be going over loses at the beginning and then gets the win back later. That's the only way it made sense to me, because otherwise this made zero. I mean, it made like negative sense. So that's the only thing I could think of, is that they're putting Shining Stars versus Enzo and Cass because they got nothing else for them.
Is it just me, or is it anything that's not, except for like the authority angle? How come they don't use anything backstage or anything like that to set up an angle anymore? You know what I mean? It doesn't have, they're throwing away these losses and wins so easily and like frivolously on television. They're not going to mean anything. I don't give a crap about Enzo and Kaz coming back. They're never going to be underneath. Okay, in any context, in this angle, are they ever going to be fighting from underneath?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so it was ridiculous. I don't agree with Enzo's promo though. I thought this was one of his weaker ones with the labor stuff. It just, I don't know. Enzo could pull it off, but man, I thought they were stretching.
And I have to say, though, Enzo pointed out when he mentioned them trying to sell timeshares in Puerto Rico, that's my new theory. Vince McMahon owns a lot of land in Puerto Rico and is trying to boost the image through the Shining Stars. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I know Enzo and Cass were settled nicely to set up a nice feud with Owens and Jericho before Finn got injured and plans changed. But, man, the Shining Stars, what a step down in terms of competition.
Considering they were just in a pay-per-view match a couple months ago with John Cena against the Club. That's a pretty steep fall.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. I mean, who's left for them to feud with on Raw right now in terms of tag teams?
Just let them go out and talk. That's the beauty about Enzo.
Yeah, you could put Cass in a singles feud and have Enzo kind of being his manager.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a trajectory going up, and then this just kind of shoots it dead. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. So we have something very interesting to talk about in a second, because Matt, 3 in a row things happened on Raw tonight that you said don't even bother to bring them up to me unless something interesting happens. And this week, all 3 showed signs of life enough to the point where we're going to talk about them. But first, I want to remind our audience that this episode of the Wrestling Inc. podcast is brought to you by DDP Yoga. Of course, you know that DDP Yoga has changed countless lives, and even many of the past and current roster have benefited immensely from it. Guys like Jake Roberts, Scott Hall, Chris Jericho, and Mick Foley all swear by DDP Yoga. And now DDP has taken it to another level with the DDP Yoga Now app on iOS and Android. So you got no excuse, because you can take DDP Yoga anywhere. Cool thing about their app is you can track more than just your yoga workouts. You can also connect it to a Bluetooth heart rate monitor, track your calories and your heart rate in real time, whether you're at the gym, on your DDP yoga mat, or even while you're out mowing the lawn. All the fitness tracking features, including pain tracking, measurements, progress photos, and more, are completely free in the DDP Yoga app. DDP Yoga Now subscribers also, you won't get tired of doing the same workouts, because they've added completely new DDP Yoga 2.0 workouts, weekly live workouts from the DDP Yoga Performance Center, and motivational messages every Monday from DDP himself. He even hosts his own cooking show on the app, showing you how to make healthy food taste amazing. And for a limited time, you can get the DDP Yoga DVDs for 15% off, and you'll get 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app. Head on over to ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. Stop procrastinating and get started now with DDP Yoga. That's ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc.
And as always, make sure the fall is here, summer's over. You got to make sure to upgrade that wardrobe, and Trendy Butler is the perfect place to do that. They're a fantastic clothing service that does all the work for you. You select a style profile, and Trendy Butler has a stylist hand-picked clothes that cater to you. Even better, for only $65, you can get over $150 in designer clothes. So make sure you use the code WRESTLING10 when you sign up to get $10 off. And that's trendybutler.com. And you can follow them on Twitter @TrendyButler.
Cool, man. So, Matt, you laid it down last week and said don't even bring up to you the Nia Jax squash matches, the Braun Strowman squash matches, or whatever in the hell they're trying to do with Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. And this week, from your lips to God's ears, something interesting actually happened with these matches. Sure, Nia Jax went out and had a squash match, but behind the scenes, we had a segment with Nia Jax and Alicia Fox. Seemed like it's building towards something. Seemed like we're actually going to have Nia having a credible opponent. I didn't see that pairing coming, and I have to say, I'm actually kind of excited for this. I don't think we've seen enough of Alicia Fox in this new era, and I think her versus Nia, at least it's going to be a real match. Matt, I see your look of disbelief. What are your thoughts?
What are you smoke? What? Okay, I've got to. No, I'm going to turn the tables on you. What is it about Alicia Fox that's making you think like? Is it just the fact that she, instead of some local talent, finally that she's going to be getting in the ring with, or?
I think she's an underrated female wrestler who does a solid job every time she goes into the ring, and they're not just feeding her to Nia. Nia's going to win, of course, but I think they're going to actually put on a decent match, and it's not just going to be, Nia doing the Goldberg, boom, 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 1, 2, 3, done. This could happen at Clash of the Champions. Maybe it'll be on the pay-per-view, but I think, maybe it'll be on the pre-show.
What else do they got?
Yeah.
As far as matches go, I'm
saying maybe it'll be on the pre-show, but I could see this. I could see this building towards that. But it's something. It's forward movement, for Christ's sakes. It's not just the same old thing we've seen again and again. And I think Alicia Fox is highly underused.
Okay, hey, you know what? You got nothing nice to say. Don't say it at all. So,
Glenn, I agree. I like Alicia. I think she's underrated, but
I'm unzipping it. You both are high. Okay, I'm zipping it back.
She can have a good match when she wants. But I'll say my favorite part of this whole thing was when she threw that box in Nia's face, and you could tell like she didn't mean to do that because she was like, oh shit, and then was like went back into character after realizing they're alive. So I like that. That was my second favorite thing on Raw tonight.
Yeah, it's something, man. It's something. We've got something happening here. It's going forward. We're going to actually have, something in the women's division aside from just the Charlotte, Sasha, Bailey, Dana show. It's like reminding us that, hey, there are 2 other women on the Raw roster. Sure, one of them might be done with the WWE forever if you believe Meltzer and his speculation behind the scenes. But Alicia Fox, she's still there and doing something on Raw with Nia. 7 women now. But of course, talking about Paige and the rumors of what's going on with her, who knows? But at least Alicia and Nia now getting into it is using the rest of that very, very short bench that they have of female talent. Yeah. But that being said, it's okay. So we covered that. Let's talk. I'll just say this, that I thought the interesting thing about Darren Young versus Jinder Mahal is that Titus on commentary and what Corey Graves was doing there. Okay, screw the match with Titus or with Darren and Jinder. That segment became, when the commentary is better than the match, to me, that's still an interesting segment, and that saved it. That was great. I loved he was making up stuff that Byron said about him earlier.
Whoa. Real quick. You're missing a huge segment there.
Wait, which one?
Glenn? The New Day. The club and the New Day.
Yeah, let's come back to that after this, because actually I think what we're talking about right now it was probably comedic gold compared to what we saw with the New Day.
Because this was on after that segment, and I was like, man, they are just begging fans to change the channel at this point. Putting the New Day segment and then this Darren Young versus Jinder Mahal. Well, you can't do this during football season. People will change the channel in a heartbeat.
You can't do this, Matt, going to the bathroom season. No, you can't do this in any season.
Right.
What's funny? I mean, a part of me could just be kind of play cool and be like, oh no, I'm choosing to ignore that New Day segment ever even happened. But I was just looking at the recap. The recap on Wrestling Inc. Barely just, it's like a little, it's like hidden in here, but I see it. So yes, we absolutely come back to that. Okay, so let's talk about these two contrasting, right? We had a very long segment between the club bringing out the old day, interrupted by the New Day. This segment, I feel like I aged through the better part of my 40s during this segment, and it was not funny. It was, in fact, I think you dubbed this term a couple weeks ago, Raj, that sort of never-ending moment of shame segment where if someone else is in the room, like, why won't this end? This is making me look really stupid for watching wrestling. This is very embarrassing that this is my taste. This is what someone else is judging me for watching. That was what this segment was. Like, this is the textbook definition of that, of like, please don't let me be caught actually watching this crap. Whereas the Darren Titus thing on commentary with Jinder, man, that was like 5 minutes. That was over. I laughed a lot. That I would hold up any day as showing like this is how wrestling can be interesting even when it's an match. Matt, what did you think of the club and the old day and that whole debacle?
What everybody else probably is thinking is just it fell incredibly short. It was something the writers got a huge, excuse my language, hard on for. But I guarantee you when they wrote this up, they couldn't wait to put it in action. And unfortunately, my boy Gallows, and and Anderson got stuck with it. You know, it's that welcome to WWE. This is how it works. Unfortunately, at times where you got to try to make the saying chicken salad out of chicken crap. And that's exactly what they were handed whenever they were handed that script when they walked in at 2:00 today at TV. I guarantee you that. I felt horrible for him. But as a fan watching the show, it wasn't good.
No, it's terrible. This was one of the worst segments I've seen in a while on Raw. There's been quite a few bad ones, so I don't want to say it's the worst of the year or anything like that, just because there are quite a few. But man, it would have just been so much more effective if you had New Day wrestle. Give them a squash match, have them wrestle a couple of geeks, and have Gallows and Anderson on commentary because they're really funny, and they got that natural humor. So just them being on commentary would have done way more than what you did here.
Don't gotta write for them. Just let them commentary be the perfect context for them, dude. Yep.
Exactly.
Or even I'll say this: if they'd cast older African-American gentlemen to play the New Day, if they'd actually cast perhaps, as opposed to just doing younger guys in wigs.
They're taking bumps though. If they're taking bumps, you can't have old guys.
But you know what I'm saying though? It's like they could have done something to at least, if you're going to do a comedy bit,
where's
do
Virgil?
It well. Yeah, no, seriously.
That would have been awesome. You have Virgil come out.
Get Booker T out there in a wig. They got him under contract still. Do something.
Booker T an old man?
I'm not calling him an old man, but I'm calling him he's at an advanced age.
Book, you watching this? You hear what he's saying about you?
He could have powdered his hair a little bit. I'm sure he would have embraced the challenge to play old.
Either way, to make it work, you need funny guys, and this was just not fun. And it wasn't going to work anyway. It's WWE comedy that never works.
Yeah, it was just bad. It was just bad. And I'll take the legitimate old man crazy of Bob Backlund any day of the week over this. So that happened. So we're going to talk about Sasha Banks in a second, but first, okay, so Braun versus Sin Cara. Do you think that this was a one-off, or do you think that now this is who we're going to see Braun actually have some sort of storyline with? Matt, I know you think Braun should just be going out there killing guys left and right, but
this was horrible. This was, I think, in my opinion, that they're not as high on him. That's the wrong. I don't want to use that word. I know everybody on the internet writes that type of word when they talk about talents. That's. I don't think they're. No, I swear I have to use that word. They're not as high on him as I think people think. I don't think they're bad. They're souring on him. But the fact that he won via countout, it was incredibly alarming to me. Watching that.
Yeah, but I think it was their way to get another match out of it. That they're probably going to do it again next week.
You don't do that with the indestructible monster. You don't do that.
I agree, but that's
with the next new guy that comes up, or an average-looking guy that comes up, or anybody that comes up. Not a freaking monster like that. That dude is a monster. You treat him like one. You don't have him winning countouts and then, he got his heat back because he went outside the ring and running tackled him. Ooh.
Yeah.
No. He does not. He needs to be standing at the end of every single match with his foot on the dude's chest, or standing with his arm raised, standing right over his opponent, looking dominant for the beauty shot at the end of every single match that he's in for now. And tonight that did not happen because of stupid count out.
And I agree with you 100%. But I just, with the way they book, I'm pretty sure that's the way they're starting this feud, and now this is going to be their house show, feud is Braun Strowman and Sin Cara for a little while. But I agree. I mean, it's too soon to have him winning matches by count out. You should be destroying guys. I'm fine with them having Sin Cara and him destroying Sin Cara and pinning him. That's the next step. From beating no-name jobbers. But, for his first outing against a name guy and to win by countout is pretty weak.
Or ultimately, they're just going to build Bo Dallas up to that level, so it'll be Bo versus Braun, and that'll be. Oh dear God! It just it's like they've got three. You know how there was a thing a couple years ago? People said there were basically like 7 sitcom plots. I feel like the WWE has like 5 match templates for feuds and rivalries. And they just
like 3.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's hard to argue against you guys. You're right on the money with this. Actually, it's about 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, they're pulling one out of the bag. When that doesn't work, they'll try a different one. But let's talk about Sasha Banks. Now, I mean, Matt, did you think it was a work all along? I mean, Sasha coming out and making it seem like she's got this horrible news. And of course, it's
No.
bad news for Charlotte and Dana.
No, I was hook, line, and sinker. I thought we were about to hear some really crap news. I haven't been online as much, so I don't really know if there was something going on backstage and she was legit hurt, and I don't know that. So I was thinking that she was about to call it quits, especially going in the long promo that she was going into at the very beginning and dragging it along, and which is a very good heartfelt promo, by the way. She has a natural way of speaking that draws you in. If you notice, she took her time, which I really appreciated. Instead of letting her emotions get the best of her and then trying to talk through it, she gave herself a couple beats and then went back into it again with the same passion. She's a good promo, a very good natural, draw you in, suck you into the baby face type promo. But again, I thought she was going to be hurt. That's what I thought she was going to set us up for. So that was cool. Yeah. I didn't like the whole what do you call it stuff with Dana though, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I assumed it was an angle just because Sasha was added to the overseas tour this week. That's in London and Manila, and so. But then she was being evaluated today at Raw, so I was like, maybe they got some bad news. Switched me. I was like, dang, maybe she is like saying that she's taking some time off, or her injury's pretty bad and she's gonna be gone for a while. So that she, so my opinion changed, and then she got me. But I don't know. I just feel like almost seemed like it was mocking, like segments like this, like mock when it really happens. Like I don't know if you should be using an injury angle as and retirement announcement as an angle, because you just had Daniel Bryan, who really did a retirement announcement back in April or whatever that was. So yeah, I thought she did a good job though. I thought it was weird that she's talking about the advancements in women's wrestling, and then she calls Dana Miss Piggy. So I thought that part was kind of weird.
Yeah.
It was sort of so there was some stuff in there that didn't make sense. If this was for real, like there were some dots didn't come in. She was talking about the end of the road, final chapter. Like she was a little all over the place. And thinking about it now, she's been very emotional in the past, especially when she won. And she, you know what I mean? Like, so she sold this very well, but stopped short of that. Where I think she wouldn't have been able to keep it together if she was really retiring or having to go out. But
and when she said the thing about Charlotte trying to break her back, that's when I think it became clear that it was work.
Yeah, it's a weird card to play because I don't think
I didn't think she was.
This card.
I didn't think she was retiring, guys. To be clear, I thought she was going to say she was hurting out for 6 months or something weird like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like it could be like Edge when he had that neck injury and was out for a year or whatever that was. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people online were speculating maybe she's pregnant, maybe she's taking some time off, but
online speculation.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing, because right, I mean, everyone sort of bought into this. We saw the tweet earlier today. There was no gossip, there was no leak about what it was. So I think people just started speculating, as we often do online. But yeah, we done got worked, and Clash of the Champions. We're gonna have Sasha versus Charlotte, the rematch. Do you think we're gonna see Bayley Dana match set up for that, Raj, or do you think they're gonna?
Yeah, I mean, I think now that Sasha's back, you don't need to have Bayley in the main event, in the women's title program yet, and save it. So that's probably the way I'd go. But they did her and Dana, didn't they?
They did it on Raw last week.
Okay, yeah. But it gives them something to do, I guess.
Yeah. So Matt, I mean, do you think Sasha's gonna win the belt back in the Clash of the Champions?
It's tough I don't know what they feel about Bayley right now at the moment, I would say normally, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe not yet.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a lot more pay-per-views now. Of course, we know Backlash is coming up this coming Sunday. And, of course, we'll be covering it here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast immediately after the conclusion of that SmackDown-only pay-per-view. But now what are we talking? Is it 17 or 19 per year, Raj, that we're going to have now between Raw and SmackDown and the cross-brand pay-per-views?
It's 4 co-branded ones. So what is that? So it's I think it's like 20. Wow. Or is it 19? It's probably 19.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be curious to see how Backlash does in terms of the viewership, this new area testing it with SmackDown only. And of course, Wednesday on our SmackDown live recap, we'll talk about our predictions for what's going to happen at Backlash. But let's talk a little about the main event now. So tonight we saw Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Once again, kind of rekindling this rivalry, or at least reseeding it to kind of go in this new round in the future now with Owens as champ. Matt, how did you think about this match and how it compared to their previous matchups? And then what do you think about how they could effectively use Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens going forward?
I couldn't stand the fact that they were, first of all, that they worked an injury angle tonight with Sami again, hurting his ankle. He sells so well naturally. I'll get to your question in a second. He's such an organic babyface. He naturally sells so well, and again, he sucks you in and makes you care about him on the sell. It's very difficult to do that. He doesn't need those tricks. He doesn't need to pretend he's hurt in order to get sympathy, because now he's done it so many times. He's the boy that cried wolf now, and they've actually taken. I'm worried that they're going to take an organically great selling babyface, and they've managed to screw it up by making him lie to the fans multiple times now. Meaning like it's a work. He's not really hurt. He didn't really roll his ankle out there. He didn't really hurt his knee the other week. That crap. To go into the well way too often, and it's going to hurt him in the long run if they don't cut the crap out with that. I was excited for this match. I thought it was a good match. What else is there to say? Just another one of their, great matches that they always have against each other. They have great chemistry together. I was pissed Roman came out at the end, and I'll leave it at that. Sorry.
I think I like watching them wrestle, but by this point of the show, I was just done. I did not care to see this match.
Yeah.
I was just, let's move on. Plus, there's no stakes. It's just right. There was no step.
Non-title match.
Right. So it was just pretty much filler, like entertaining filler. But the match itself was good. There's that scary bump, that move that Sami did on the outside of the ring with Kevin. And I know he's very careful when he does it, but man, I feel like you should not be doing moves like that on the outside of the ring.
It really is on the guy jumping, for what it's worth.
Yeah. Do you think it's worth doing stuff like that on the outside?
I don't, because you heard the reaction it got. It wasn't that much more than what he got in the ring, and that should be your answer right there.
Yeah.
And even if it was a better reaction, you're right. Watching the chance, but.
Yeah, I just felt like, I don't know. I just felt like the crowd was dead. To Matt's point, they sucked all night, but they weren't given too much either to go crazy for. But it was just I was just kind of waiting for it to be over. And Roman coming out, I hear your point, but at the same time, it does build next week's show. They got something, and I think next week they're gonna have to, I think they'll be pulling out the big guns, because now they're going up against football again.
Well, and so for anyone who did not watch Raw, and as you could tell by our tone, we do not blame you if you skipped Raw and are just listening to this podcast instead. But Roman Reigns came out at the end, then Mick Foley came out, and it was announced that next week will be Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. And if Roman wins, he will be added to the match at Clash of the Champions, and it will be a triple threat between Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. When was the last time these guys were in a triple threat together? And Kevin Owens. Matt, to you first, as you see they're just shaking your head. So that's like the stupidest idea, right? If that actually were to happen. Like, that's just...
Yes. Yes, it is.
But will that be a good main event next week? I feel like Owens and Reigns, at least, is a fresh pairing for a match, one-on-one.
It is. It is. Roman needs guys that he can ping pong around the ring, usually. And that shows you to credit how good Rusev is a worker, by the way, guys, because he couldn't ping pong him around, and yet he still sold well against it, made Roman look good. But anyways, Kevin's going to have his work cut out for him. But you're right, it is a fresh matchup, so that's good. And I'm not just trying to heel on Roman for no reason. It's just I feel he's been shoved everyone's down everybody's throat, and this could have been a nice week for him to have taken off,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're going to add Roman to that match personally. I think Rusev comes out and distracts him, and they're going to get back, going back to that feud, because that had been the plan, was for them to be feuding for for the time being. So
it's better for Roman. This is better for Roman anyway.
Exactly. And it's been working,
Yes.
for the most part. And as soon as you take him out and put him back in the main event spot, like you heard tonight, the fans were starting to forget that they hated him so much, and now they're back to where they were. So keep him with Rusev, keep that U.S. title program going, and it'll be the best for everyone involved.
Yeah. So a very weird Monday Night Raw for a variety of reasons. A lackluster episode. Matt, and any final thoughts on this Labor Day edition of Monday Night Raw?
It was one of the crappiest ones I've seen in a while, and we've been handed some real crap sandwiches lately. This one was right up there. That's why we're fans. That's why we keep watching, though, right? I'll complain and crap on it, but guess what? I'll watch again next week and the week after and the week after. We're fanatics. We love this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Game of Thrones, but if there's a crappy episode, see, there's never a crappy episode of Game of Thrones. I think that
Never, ever.
That's true. Walking Dead has had a few here and there, but yeah, it was completely missable. If you didn't watch it, you don't need any reason to.
Being a wrestling fan, especially a fan of the WWE in this modern era, is like being in a codependent, abusive relationship where you say to people like, no, you don't understand. He doesn't beat me when he hasn't been drinking. Some of those things he said, I deserve it. I was acting out of line. It's very much like it sucks, but then there are those glimpses of why we love it, and it just makes it worth staying, and we just can't walk away.
When wrestling is done right, it's one of the funnest things on earth.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it is beautiful storytelling when done correctly. But weeks like this, I feel like if I showed this to someone and this was their first Monday Night Raw, there'd be a lot of like, no, you don't understand.
You wouldn't be creating any new fans.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing to remember. One of the best things I ever heard, a quote about comic books, when thinking about when writing a comic book, every issue is somebody's first comic book. And you want to keep that in mind. And I think with wrestling, that would serve them well to remember every episode is somebody's first episode. Let's try and engage people, hook them, draw them in, as opposed to just giving them weird crap that they can't make sense of. So let's talk a little bit before we go just about some other news this week. Let's talk about Alberto Del Rio. I know we talked about this last Wednesday on the SmackDown Live recap. Of course, Wrestling Inc. broke the story. Raj, you want to fill everyone in about what's up with Alberto Del Rio?
Yeah, so he's done. He's gone. Just like that. His last WWE run is over. He was with Lucha Underground last year, but he was unhappy with them by the time he left. It'll be interesting to see where they go. I mean, TNA. They seem to be picking up a lot of former WWE guys now, but do they have the paycheck to afford Del Rio? Because he's not a cheap talent. And Paige, it looks like she might be done too. I mean, the word getting out that Mark Carrano was harassing Paige and Del Rio about their relationship and trying to get them to break up. It was clear that WWE did want them to break up, splitting them up in the brand split. But getting that stuff getting out there, that's usually indicating that she's not coming back. So but then again, Paige has several years on her contract, so we'll have to see what goes on with there, if WWE releases her or they just keep her under contract, or if she ends up coming back.
Yeah, I mean, Paige has been out of the storyline for so long. I don't even know what they would do with her. I mean, I think, I know we talked about it earlier, but I think with Nia Jax, that would be interesting to see what they could do with Paige. But, I mean, where do you think Paige goes if she can get released? I mean, she go to TNA and sort of revitalize their women's division?
That's the only place really. Where else would she go? I mean, she can go back home, obviously, and she can make a buttload of money signing her signature 55 times at an indie show before the show begins, intermission, and after. But that only lasts for so long. I give a normal talent about a year, maybe 2 years to be able to do something like that and make decent money, but not WWE type money. So I don't know. I think TNA would be very, very wise to pick her up like yesterday if they could. But
Yeah.
we're talking about hypotheticals, right? We don't know that that's for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she has been a star on Total Divas, which is why it would seem weird that the WWE would want to cut ties with her, especially now that Alberto Del Rio's gone.
I don't think it'd be coming on. That's the other half of the equation here. Obviously, it's her guy, right? So
Yeah.
I think it'd be more on her end than theirs. But
yeah. Also, we should talk about CM Punk. So where are we at right now? His first fight's coming up pretty soon, isn't it?
No, it's this Saturday.
Yeah.
Big Mickey Gall, UFC 203. Fabricio Verdum in the main event. I mean, in the co-main event against Stipe Miocic and Alistair Overeem. I'm sorry, Alistair Overeem against Stipe Miocic in the main event, and Fabricio against who's he fighting? It's just completely escaping my mind. Anyway, but CM Punk, that's kind of the big story, for wrestling fans. Matt, you gonna be watching?
of course I will. Yeah, actually, that's the night of my birthday. But
nice.
I'll definitely order it and DVR it and watch it for sure. I would have been watching it live if I wasn't doing something. But I hope he does well. Obviously, it's always one for us when a guy goes out there and does his thing and represents pro wrestlers, right? That said, I don't know. Mickey Gall is he really did not pick. They did not give him a cupcake.
Yeah.
He's good. Mickey Gall is good. It's gonna be a hell of a test. It might be too much of a test.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the documentary?
Yeah.
I mean, definitely wasn't impressive, but that's also from a year ago, like that training footage. But yeah, I think most wrestling fans are really pulling for him to win.
Yeah.
I was pulling for Lesnar big time against Mark Hunt, even though I'm a big Mark Hunt fan. So we'll see. We'll be covering that this Saturday. Sunday we're back. Vince Russo will be back with us for the post-Backlash podcast. Yeah.
And Matt's so excited. He is bursting with excitement, as you can hear right there.
That's called a fart in church. Vince Russo's pop. His reaction.
Hopefully he keeps his shirt on this time.
Oh my God, he looked like a homeless garbage man. What was he doing? It's an embarrassment. An embarrassment to this station, this website, this everything, this business.
I've been watching that Punk documentary, and I know we talked about this on the SmackDown, the Wednesday edition, but I just think, so much of what makes Punk interesting is his promos and what he does out of the ring, and I just don't know what the angle is. I mean, like you guys are saying, it's like we want him to win because he's a guy we liked in WWE. We think, he's interesting. We want to see him pulling off with this victory here, but I mean, it's like it would be like the equivalent of like if Sylvester Stallone had a real boxing match. It's like the story is like, oh, isn't it interesting? This guy that played a fighter is now having a real fight. But aside from that, it's not all the great things that we liked about Stallone and Rocky, because that's not real.
I would have probably ordered that Stallone box. But
I bet he would have put in some work.
Yeah. I mean,
Actually, man, that would have been like probably, a huge like $100 million pay-per-view if that would have happened at any time, because he could have just gone out there and really done it, like done the Rocky stuff. And we would have been like, holy, wow, man, that was a missed opportunity in his youth. But with Punk, I mean, I don't know, I want to see it, but I don't know how we keep it going forward. He's got to get on the mic and start doing some stuff to, play into his strengths, in addition to winning in the ring.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Cool, guys. So before we go, Matt, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, it's Octagon, not Ring, Glenn.
Sorry.
I'm just smart ass. Just hit me up, guys. You guys know my Twitter and Instagram handles both are at BP Matt Morgan. Hit me up. Thanks for listening to the show every week and giving me your feedback, guys. You guys are phenomenal. That's really it. Cool.
Raj, anything people should look out for on the Wrestling Inc. website in the coming days?
Yeah, stay tuned. It's a busy week. Tons of stuff coming up this weekend, so enjoy a couple more hours of the holiday, and then it's back to the full-time grind.
Yeah, so we'll see you back here, myself and David Bixenspan, this Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, to talk about SmackDown Live, talk about our predictions for the upcoming Backlash pay-per-view, and of course the coverage of that will be Sunday evening right after the pay-per-view ends on the Wrestling Inc. website. In the meantime, subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review, let us know what you think, leave some comments, we love reading them, and we'll see you back here next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. Catch you next time.
That guy's got the worst last name ever.